How's it going, everybody? Spectre here, and I have spent the last day or two kind of going over how I wanted to approach this topic, and I think I figured it out. And this is a topic that's a couple of days old. It stems from Alex Hutchinson, who is a Google Stadia developer, and his statements on streaming. Now, I'm sure many people have heard them already. They've already kind of taken their position and whatnot. So let's just get right into it. This is the tweet that started it all. Streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for should be more worried by the fact that their streaming games they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. And then he continues, the real truth is the streamer should be paying the developers and publishers of the game they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use. End quote. Well, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to actually approach this because this is an absolute shit take. This is one of the worst takes I've heard in a while, and it actually parrots something that was said in 2014 by Fez creator Phil Fish, who basically tweeted out the same thing, saying, if you generate money from putting my content on your channel, you owe me money. If you buy a movie, are you then allowed to stream the entirety of it publicly for people to watch for free? No, because that's illegal. Not completely true. Amazon or Twitch watch parties exist, or Amazon Prime watch parties exist. Systems are in place to prevent that, but buy Fez, put all of it on YouTube, turn on ads, make money from it, and that's totally fine. And the developer should in no way be compensated for their work being freely distributed to the world, right? Makes sense. Now, the reason that this is a stupid take as well is because, one, you buy the game to begin with, in many instances, $60 or more to buy the game. So you've already paid for the game. And it's not like anybody else can play the game for free. That's not piracy. The purpose of a video game is to be played, not to be watched. So when a streamer is doing a Let's Play or they're just streaming the game, it's not what the intent of the game is. The purpose of the game is to be played. It's for people to get onto their computer or their Xbox and to pick up the controller or pick up the mouse and keyboard and start playing. That is the purpose. Whereas a movie, the purpose of that is to be watched. It's not the same thing. And just like Alex here saying, you know, music you didn't pay for. Well, the purpose of music is to be listened to. Again, not be played. It's the intention or the reason for existence for these different things. But let's also look at a couple of other things. First off, streamers already put eyes on products. Many small game companies rely on streamers, courting streamers to sell their product. When Markiplier or Jacksepticeye, which by the way we're going to get into in a second, or Neebs Gaming plays a game, and they put out videos or they stream it, that company is going to see an increase in sales. Phasmophobia, which is what the guys are playing right now, that's probably seen a lot of sales. Likewise, Oxygen Not Included, made by Clay, a game I like, they saw a lot of sales because Markiplier started playing it during pre-alpha, alpha, beta, and the final version. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't have known about Oxygen Not Included because for some reason Steam thinks that it's something I would like, but it doesn't match anything that I'd previously played or something like that, even though Age of Empires and stuff. But I wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't for Markiplier. They sold that game because of Markiplier, a streamer, a Let's Player. So to sit here and say they don't give anything to the company, companies, generally speaking, make money. This is why when Fallout 76 was being pushed, Bethesda courted streamers. They tried to have this huge party, this huge launch party, and they invited streamers and content creators to get the lowdown on the game. And this is why Studio Wildcard, when they were announcing their expansion, specifically Extinction, they brought streamers out and content creators out, and they gave them a first look, a behind-the-scenes look, rather than having the modders, people who actually make the game playable. They understand the need for streamers to put their games out there. They tried to do the same thing with Atlas, and that game was just such a shit show that it bombed, and there's no way that they're going to be able to really fix that issue. So for Alex to sit here and say, you don't do anything for us, no. And let's bring something outside of gaming altogether. A plumber has to buy tools and parts in order to complete their job, correct? Does that mean that every time a plumber does their job, that the company who makes their tools, they should get a cut of that job? Absolutely not. When they have to buy a part, they have to pay for it out of their own money, and then they get a return. Do they have to then go out and give them extra money because they use that part? Absolutely not. The purpose of a streamer is kind of a retail. It's free PR, essentially, if you're doing well. Path of Exile would not have the player base it does, or did, I guess you could say. They haven't been doing too well. But it wouldn't have the player base it does now after the absolutely terrible launch in terms of desync, server stability, etc. Broken gameplay mechanics and just broken everything. It would not have the player base it does now if it wasn't for streamers keeping eyes on there, for Chris Wilson to be coming out and saying, Ziggy, I want to do an interview, Mathel, I want to do an interview. The streamers are what kept Path of Exile going, and now it's, relatively speaking, a powerhouse. These companies understand that streamers are good, and for you to come out and say, you now need to give us money, anytime you make money, we should automatically get some type of compensation for it. Absolutely not. When a super chat comes in, Google takes 30% of that. The government then is going to tax it, and you get what's left over. If a company can come in and go, we're getting 30% of whatever you make when you stream our game, that game's never going to see a streamer play it. Never. Even a streamer that's pretty well off, they're not going to do it. They're going to find another game like it. They're going to put it out there, and that game is going to get the player base, the market, because that's what you're tapping into. A streamer is a market. Their viewers are essentially their product, if you think about it. So to sit there and say they don't bring anything to the table is absolute nonsense. When a streamer streams your game and they have glowing reviews and praise for your game, that means that you have just tapped into a market and you will probably sell quite a few games. Now, it should also be noted that this was, relatively speaking, a similar statement that was made by Digital Homicide when they sued Jim Sterling. Jim Sterling was sued because he was critical of Digital Homicide. And one of the things that he said was, if it wasn't for game companies, you wouldn't have a job as a game critic, so maybe you should be nicer to us. No, that doesn't fly. Sure, streamers wouldn't have what they have now if game companies didn't exist, but that doesn't mean that you're entitled to more because they stream it. You have put a price on your game when you sell it. You have. Not me, not anybody else. You have. So you have said our game is worth $60. That streamer goes and pays the $60, and guess what? That's it. It's theirs. I mean, unless you buy it on Steam, in which case it's really not yours, but that's a whole different story. This is a guy who's worked for multiple AAA companies and apparently now works for Google. You'll excuse me if I'm not busting out the money to throw at you because I decided to stream a game or something like that. And let's make something really clear. This guy, by the way, you see this? You see this Savage Planet banner that Alex has been using on his Twitter for the longest time? Jacksepticeye guy, I find this thinking extremely ironic, considering you have fan art of me, a streamer, as your banner from when I played Savage Planet. He took this and made it his banner. And by the way, you notice right here, that's the watermark. That's the autograph, I guess you could say, of the person who made it. Cut out. He cropped it intentionally to get rid of that. So it's really funny that this guy is taking somebody else's work and claiming it and putting it on his Twitter. But he's going to come out with this lukewarm take, and we need to make something very clear now. Google, oh god dang it, accept all cookies, whatever. Google has distanced itself from Stadia creative director. So Google itself is saying, that was a stupid take, that was a bad take, shut your fucking mouth. Probably a good call on Google's part, by the way. Even Google isn't backing him up on this. So you know your take is shit when your own employer is like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Shut up. This is the absolute state of game developers now. They think they are entitled to more money. They put out subpar games. Look at Ark. Look at pretty much any game EA or Ubisoft have put out in the last couple of years now. Even Blizzard, look at the games they've been putting out. They are subpar. But we still pay $40, $50, $60 for those games because we like the company, or we want to believe that the company is making something that we can enjoy. And we're not getting what we used to. We aren't. We are getting something absolutely disgusting in many instances. And for this guy to come out and say, yeah, you owe us more money, get fucked, Alex. Get fucked. That is the most asinine position you could fucking take. And I have to say, Stadia can't be doing too well if you're saying something like that. Streamers are a market. They make you money. And if you want to take money from them, they're going to stop making you money, because the minute YouTube, when they do a partnership and part of that contract says, we can determine what games you play, and by the way, you have to pay royalties, is the moment that the partners start going, nope, bye. And they start going elsewhere. To assert that you have the right to somebody else's money is the absolute, it's the most asinine position you really could take. So I have to say, I've got to say, this guy, he needs to shut up. Don't speak again. Don't tweet again, because you have dug a hole. And the fact that you are complaining about something and stealing something at the same time, hypocrisy. Thy name is Alex Hutchinson. I'm Spectre, and thanks for watching.